you've been on the earth, you've got a lot of experience, and some people may argue that you're, too young. And I wish people would say that about me first, but it used to bug me when people would say, "Oh, that's really not that big a deal." I'm like, man, it's the biggest deal I've ever dealt with right now, so it's absolutely a big deal. And so, with that, in your time on the earth, what is a significant learning that you've had as a result of a pretty big misstep?
I I don't know if I've had any big missteps, but I
Okay,
do know that I have missteps every single day. And I
nice.
have these, not, I guess they're huge ideas that, everybody's heard, everybody knows about. I think kind of one of the biggest ones for me is always ask questions
Mm,
and don't be afraid to ask questions. And I think that's, or even asking for help. I think that that's something I've always struggled with, especially being a woman in construction, because I do feel, and not as much recently, but I do feel that I'm held to a different standard, or that
huh,
people think I'm going to mess up, or they want me to mess up, or that, oh, she's just a girl, she doesn't know. So I've always wanted to know. And so
yeah.
I don't want to ask for help because I want to, prove myself and be like, I don't need help. But I think the biggest issue I've had with it is that everybody needs help.
Mm,
Even the people who have been in the industry for 50 years need help. There are always new questions, new things to learn. I mean, the construction's not, something that you can just read and understand. I mean, it's
no,
there's so many steps and so many different ways to do so many different things that I've just learned that, you have to ask questions, especially being in a new industry, I guess, of construction. I did the commercial, just GC, but now that I'm working for a subcontractor, kind of specializing in everything, I mean, it's been tough for me to ask questions when there's no way that I can know without asking questions. I mean, not
yes,
everything is just a quick Google search. Some things are you have to talk to somebody who knows.
yes.
And so I think one of the biggest things for me is just not being afraid to ask questions and not being afraid to ask for help.
Mm. So, what are some techniques that you would recommend to young professionals out there to get over that hurdle of I got to figure it out by myself? I don't want to seem like I'm dumb.
Right. I'm still trying to figure that out myself. I'm still working through that. I mean, this is again a misstep that I have every single day where, I think I can just figure it out. And I think one of the biggest issues I have is that I know I don't know everything, but I
Mhm.
just don't want anybody else to know that.
Girl, I feel you. I
So,
feel you 100%.
right. And so, I mean, I think that kind of the way that I've been overcoming it, because since starting work, I've realized I have to ask questions and there are so many things that I'm not going to know. I think that, I let them, I let, my supervisor give me a task. I look through it. I figure out what questions I have and I write them all down. And then I look and see if I can figure it out myself. And when I can't, that's when I ask.
Mm,
And it always, comes back to bite me because I'll ask the question and then the snippet that I cut out for him to make it easy for him to answer my question, the answer's right there. And it's always right
mm.
there, but it's, sometimes it just takes asking somebody else
Yes,
and having them be like, look, it's right there. And so
yes,
I think just kind of just asking. I don't know. I mean,
that's
it's
it.
it's it's been tough. And, my techniques don't always work. Like I said, I write down all my questions and I look and see if I can find the answer. And, most of the time I look right over it. But I mean, that's the thing. I think that, you have to ask questions because you'll just keep looking over the same spot that has the answer clearly. That somebody else who hasn't been looking at these same plans for the last hour can see because, they're
They're not
I
all
guess
up in the
blind.
middle of it.
Exactly,
Yep,
exactly.
yep.
They're not tunnel vision to what you've been tunnel vision to.
That's a great point. I mean, what I like, what stands out to me about what you said is the first thing you do is use your own resources and put the time in. Is okay, where is it? Let me look, let me try. You give it a few rounds of let me
Mhm.
get there. Then you write down, okay, what's the question I'm trying to answer? And then recognizing that we get in tunnel vision all the time. And when you're there, you just can't see it anymore. And
Right.
just bringing somebody in, there's some embarrassment, right? Because they're like, "Oh
Right.
yeah, it's right there." Like, "Oh, damn it!"
Yeah.
But that's not a Kate thing. That's a human thing.
Right.
We all, it took me a long time to figure that out because I was, and still am, fiercely. I'm going to say it this way: I'm fiercely embarrassed to ask for help for really simple things.
Me
But I
too.
also know that just it's gonna save me hours if I
It,
ask somebody else.
right.
It's gonna save me
Right.
tons and tons of time to just ask somebody else. And when I get stuck on something, when I recognize that I'm in a loop of, I should at that point ask somebody else for help.
Right.
I don't do that all the time yet, working on it. But what I do is, okay, I'm gonna leave that little project that I'm messing with right now. I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna do something totally different so that I can get unstuck, clear my head, and come back. And then it's like, oh, dummy, it was there the whole time.
Right.
Um, so, I mean, there are different techniques, and I think like the most important part where, and I don't think, I mean, I hope to reach an age at some point in my life where I'm over that problem of
Mm.
the embarrassment or the pride or whatever it is to ask for help. But everybody needs help. And
Right.
here's one thing that I do that maybe could help you, Kate, is when I don't ask for help, I'm robbing somebody the gift of giving
Right.
because people like to help. How do you feel
Yeah.
when you help people?
Good.
Right?
Everybody calls me over to help them with Excel now. So
So you're the
I
Excel.
always
There
tell
you
them
go.
when it's Kate, I need help. I can't get
Hmm.
this Excel to change colors. It feels good.
Yes, yes. And so think of, I try to think about that when I need help. Like I feel great when people ask me for help, but I'm not so gracious in returning the favor and asking them for help. So that may be something that can help our listeners out there. But it is, I think it's a human thing to be concerned about what are people going to think? Am I going to look dumb? Are they going to think I'm inadequate? And then, as you mentioned, you're a young woman in the industry, and so there could be, and I know for sure, different people. There is this unbalanced expectation or prejudgment on what your performance is going to be. And so you got
Right.
to, that's something else you got to figure out. I wish it wasn't that way. We have a long way to go. I know whenever I see that, um, I do not hesitate to say, time out, bro. Like, no, we're not playing by different rules. We're all playing the same game. And let's treat people, let's honor this woman